What happens when on some idle Tuesday afternoon, it occurs to you as you're sitting there relaxing, doing whatever you're doing, that you are not exactly enjoying the passage of time? You just know that you're passing time, but you're not enjoying your life while you're doing it. You're not enjoying the experience of living your life. That realization is heavy, and it can be really hard. But here's the thing to remember is that realizing that this is happening is one thing. Knowing what the hell to do about it is something else altogether. It's in some other realm of understanding that most of us don't have. It's just such a different beast, knowing how to handle it. Often we've just got no idea. We just know that something needs to change. And our biggest question at the time is, okay, so where along this line of unhappiness do we need to begin? I mean, what do we do when we're not just unsure, but we're right properly stuck? I mean, the kind of stuck where work, money, confidence, sense of self, all of these things get all mixed up together like a bowl of spaghetti, and you can't recognize one line from the other. It's just it becomes like an tangled, unmanageable mess. What do we do when it starts to feel like we're not dealing with a problem so much as we're living a life that's a problem? And that's when many of us, I mean, myself included, no, I'm no special person here, make a spectacularly unhelpful decision. And it's that we jump up, we stride forward, and we're like, okay, gotta fix it, right? And you think that you're gonna, okay, I'm gonna fix my life. But I mean, this minute, now, immediately fix this problem so that it can get off of your mind and you can feel like you're heading straight into the right direction again. But here's the issue. While that decision feels decisive, sure, and maybe even responsible, that you're taking control, the we got this, scenario. But I'm going to tell you, you don't. You don't have it. You're stuck because you don't know how to move forward. But there's a way around it. No. Because fix my life isn't actually something we can do. It's just way too big. There's nowhere to put our hands on it. We can't climb it. We can't nail through it. It's something intangible. So instead of moving, we freeze. And I know this because I'm something of an expert. I've practically made a sport out of it. I've had to rebuild my life more times than I care to admit from the ground up. I've burnt it down through circumstance and immaturity, not knowing myself, and I've always had to rebuild it. However, there have been periods in my life when I've had direction, where I've had a career, I've had a great sense of self, I had a reasonably convincing understanding of where I was going in the world. Then life, as it loves to do, swerves. It takes a zig. And so all of a sudden you're off the track. So when that happens, what exactly do you do to get yourself back on track? How do you find the right track? Every station has multiple tracks, multiple derailers, and all that stuff. How do you know which one's yours? Life loves to change direction for whatever reason. Sometimes it's gradual and you don't notice it happening, and sometimes it happens lightning fast. It just hits you like a ton of bricks. You're like, shit, I don't know where to go from here. When that happens, when it happens fast, you'll notice the things that you don't notice over time. It's like direction disappears slowly. Foundations crack slowly. And suddenly, we find ourselves in the middle of a life that we don't recognize. All of this stuff has happened around us, whether we've noticed it or not. Either we saw it happening or it just occurred to us. We're standing there with the wreckage of a life around us that doesn't seem familiar, and there's nothing we can pick out of the pile to find reassurance in. And when we're in this situation, we almost always find ourselves asking the question, what the hell am I supposed to do now? What do I do with all of this mess? I've asked myself that question so many times. And full disclosure, I'm asking it again right now because I'm rebuilding again. And that's actually part of what this channel exists for. I'm going through the exercises of trying to get my shit back together. And I'm not doing it from a distance, from some comfortable position of security. I'm actually sharing this with you as I go through it. Successes and failures be damned. I will share them with you. I'm not standing at the finish line. I have no flag. I'm not encouraging anyone behind me. I'm right here. I'm using this stuff. I'm testing it again. I'm trying to figure out what still works, because I've been here before, as I said. I noticed something. When I eventually find myself looking for footing, trying to rebuild my life, I tend to, I think involuntarily find myself going through a set of effective behavior adjustments that are crucial to moving myself forward. I return to the same behaviors. I'm not talking about some flawless system that some guru somewhere has, spent millions of dollars trying to sharpen. I don't have that. What I do have, though, are a number of ways. I've narrowed them down to 9. 9 simple behavioral adaptations that have continuously, when needed, stopped me from spiraling out of control. They've helped me find my footing, start moving forward again, get a sense of forward momentum. It doesn't need to be a big jump to feel successful. It's a little smidgen, a little baby step. And when I think about this, I think behavior is a really important word here, because a behavior isn't what we believe. It isn't what we intend to do. And it's certainly isn't something we understand intellectually. It's not that kind of exercise. It's what we actually do in response to what's happening around us and inside us in a lot of cases. And that distinction, I think, is really, really important, because understanding something doesn't necessarily change it, right? Just because you can recognize that there's a problem doesn't mean you know how to change or fix the problem. But doing something, making a move it can make a huge difference. And the wonderful thing about behaviors is that they can be practiced, repeated, and adjusted, and calculated. And eventually they become second nature when life starts to pull you backwards. They can become how you respond. I don't know, you may disagree with these, but I will tell you that I know the behavior adjustments that I go through, they're sequential, and one can't happen without the other. They're reliant upon each other to build the experience that leads us out of despair, the confusion that we're dealing with. Each one seems to prepare you for the next one. Before we get into the first one, there are 9, and I'm looking forward to sharing them with you, and that's coming up in just a minute. Our behaviors have a great effect on how we feel. They're interconnected. When it comes to behaviors, I find that they're quite interesting because they're interdependent and they're sequential. You need to be able to do behavior 1 before you get to behavior 2. If you just jump to behavior 2, it won't work because you didn't do 1. That's been my experience so far. You may have your own. You may disagree with everything I'm saying, and that's fine. Make your own list. Make your own group of steps that you think can get you out of the difficulties that you're dealing with. That's up to you. All I'm doing right now is sharing with you my own set. But before I get into the first one, let's just look at the 9 together. So there's attention before action, right? Understand what's actually going on around you before you jump to a solution. So it's take time to think, to understand before you react. The next is follow your compass. Once you can figure out how to get pointed in the right direction, things will start to become a lot easier for you. So follow your compass. The third is treat what matters like it matters. It sounds self-evident, but it's not. If something is important to us, time and attention that we dedicate to it should probably show that. And all too often, that's not the case. Number 4, unlock your door. Build the life you actually want to come home to. This is a metaphorical home, but when you walk into the space you've built for yourself, whether it's internal space or external physical space, doesn't matter. But if you can walk into your space and recognize yourself, there's the thing I love. There's the thing I collect. There's the picture that I remember so fondly. Whatever, make sure that, you're building a life around what matters to you. That's unlock your door. Stop playing someone else's game. Stop measuring your life against rules and levels of success that have been thrust upon you. So define your own game. Define your own rules. Define your own finish line. Next is listen sincerely if you would like to eventually be heard. Understanding someone else has to come before we can expect them to understand us. There's no way around it. Nobody will validate your feelings, your perspective, if they feel that they've shared theirs and it's disappeared like water off a duck's back. You have to honestly and with empathy try to understand the other person in the discussion. If you can find that ability to truly listen before you open your mouth, there is a much better chance you'll be heard. Next is pass the sandbag. Stop carrying everything on your own. You don't need to. Nobody likes that person, by the way. You can't own everything. You can't get the credit for everything. You can't be the boss of everything. You can't deliverer of success every time. That's a team exercise. So pass the sandbag to the next person. Next behavior that I find myself trying to embody when I'm pulling my socks back up is get comfortable with discomfort. Changing anything at all worthwhile eventually asks us to walk willingly into something uncomfortable. We often have to decide to do something that we don't want to do. We don't feel comfortable doing it. We feel silly or embarrassed. We feel out of our depth, over our head. But being uncomfortable in a situation is the surest guide to finding your comfortable way through it. And finally, upgrade yourself before upgrading your tools. So those are my 9. Maybe you'll come up with your own list. The point is just simply having a list to make meaningful and lasting change in your life, to get yourself back on track. It's as simple as that. Maybe you'll get to the end of this and you've got a list that you can share back with me and say, oh, yours was wonderful, but here's where I found kind of a hole in it, or I found where maybe something you weren't considering, or, hey, just take a look at this. I think that would be awesome, like super awesome. Instead of nodding along to my 9, take note, give it thought, take action, and share yours. I want to hear that. Grab a scrap of paper and write down 3 to 5 things that are on your mind right now. Things that are making you anxious or that you feel aren't working or that are causing you to stumble along the path. Things you've been avoiding. Don't organize them. Don't try to solve them. And for God's sake, don't turn this into another project. Now look at that list. Which one feels the most manageable, given your time and your resources and your experience? Now, pick one. Not the most important and not the most urgent. Not the one you think will produce the most enormous return on investment of your time or some life-changing breakthrough. Just the one you could put your hands on, making noticeable change. Choose that. Now ask yourself 2 questions. What do I actually know about this? And what am I assuming? That's where things get interesting. You can't argue with fear. Don't try to solve the whole problem. Just find out one thing you don't know, the one little piece, and replace one assumption with one fact. And that's how you build yourself a stable, structural framework for moving forward. And that action gives us new information, which means tomorrow we know something we didn't know today. And maybe that answer isn't what we expected or wanted it to be, and that's fine. It's still information, and it still tells us where we're heading, whether it's in the right or completely the wrong direction, because we're not trying to prove ourselves right. We're trying to move, to take a step. And that's why this behavior has to come first, because until we understand where we actually are, it's difficult to make an intelligent decision about where we're going. You cannot fix your life today. As I said at the beginning, you can make it a little less imaginary, and that's enough. You've gotten started. Please subscribe down below. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear your comments. I would like to know what has been your most difficult internal understanding to overcome. What's the belief about yourself that you can't get past? I will address every one of your questions in the next video. I promise you that. This isn't something I can do on my own. This is a call to everybody out there who feels a little lost and a little confused and maybe a little afraid. Let's just do something instead of nothing. Send me your comments. Send me your likes. Please subscribe. Look, thank you for your time. Look, subscribe, like, hit the bell, comment if you can. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And also check out one of these other videos. You can go out there, have a great week, trust your heart, move with intention, and I'll see you next week.
Woke up With the dust in my throat again, another town, another sin. This road's the only home I've known, singing out this weary soul.